Stakeholders have commended government's achievements across various sectors 1 year into office, particularly in the economy, but have struck a cautionary note warning against premature celebration. They explained that Ghana's core economic challenges remain deeply interconnected and will require sustained policy discipline to address effectively. Speaking at a high-level roundtable dubbed John Mahama 2.0, a thematic assessment of Year 1, organized by ChannelOne TV and City FM, the stakeholders emphasized the need for consistency and long-term reforms. There's more in this report.
An esteemed panel comprising experts and key stakeholders was convened to critically assess government performance 1 year into President John Mahama's administration. Across major sectors including the economy, education, agriculture, energy, and the environment, the general assessment from stakeholders pointed to an impressive performance on several fronts. On the economy, experts note that while Ghana is currently experiencing a degree of macroeconomic stability under the Mahama administration, the country remains exposed to underlying risks that require careful management.
Last year, 2025, have been good in terms of macro stability. There's no question about that. But we shouldn't jubilate. We shouldn't jubilate because managing an economy is like managing the health of individual. And the medication must be consistent. So macro stability is not an end in itself.
Beyond the economy, the energy sector also emerged as a critical area of discussion. Some stakeholders believe that with properly coordinated efforts, the sector could become a major game changer for infrastructure development and industrial growth.
I think it's important that we push the price to industry down. I think I've said that already, and I don't want to. But there's a third point in the energy sector which is quite important and it tends to be overlooked. Look, with the advent of AI, which everybody is talking about, energy is actually the game changer, not AI. Just look around. Countries which attract databases, crypto, everything are those who have got excess energy. And in Africa, the only country I can talk about now is Ethiopia, just because of the Renaissance Dam and the 6,000 megawatts of power that they release into the system. Quite a lot of data centers are being attracted there, which is beginning to now create a lot of special economic zones, industrial parks, etc. That's the way you industrialize and create jobs.
Players within the agriculture sector have also welcomed the relative stability of the city but raised concerns about food prices, which they say continue to affect farmers' livelihoods.
A bag of maize, 100 kilograms, is selling at a paltry, in fact, started 220 Ghana cedis. What is 220 Ghana cedis in dollar terms? It drifted up to around 250. As I talk today, you will be lucky to have maize to go for 280 Ghana cedis. It's still dangling between 240, 250 in Chumu, the Sala area, which is so bad. But then, in contrast, fertilizer, the best brand, a brand, that's Yara, was going for 550 to 590. So it tells you that you may need to sell 3 bags of maize
to get one bag of fertilizer,
which doesn't make sense.
Africa Education Watch revealed that Ghana is grappling with a severe teacher deficit, with about 30,000 classrooms currently operating without teachers, following the government's failure to recruit new teachers in 2025. Despite this challenge, the organization commended government for continued financing of the school feeding program, free senior high school and basic education.
Budgeting, yes. For basic education, we saw 22% of that allocation going to basic. That was the highest for basic in 4 years. And then we saw some significant allocations in the budget to inclusive education. We saw some good moves in financing. We saw the government put to rest the issue about sustainable financing for free senior high school.
On environment issues, particularly the fight against illegal mining, stakeholders commended government for establishing the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat. However, they called for intensified efforts to clamp down on illegal mining activities.
So in terms of the political will and consistency, clearly we've seen that there's been some efforts, through the various initiatives that I mentioned. However, I think there's room for improvement because, especially with the establishment of the NIMOS, the catch and release is not enough. We need prosecution of these perpetrators, right? And for me, I think it's more important that we shift from more like the initiative-driven approach and try and then give these institutions the autonomy. We need to institutionalize the fight.
About corruption and governance featured prominently in the discussions, with accountability advocates urging government to fully implement the National Ethics and Anti-Corruption Action Plan, which they believe would significantly strengthen the fight against corruption.
That's sought to give us a framework within which we all fight corruption in country, from the presidency to the least of us in the community like myself. If we all put our energies to implementing, because it goes from the legal and where all the things I've spoken to are embedded, and it brought on board experts to ensure that we are putting in place what constitutes good practice from across the globe.